Court calls case of the people versus Kirsten Heron.
On behalf of the people.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Pate for Ms. Heron, who stands to my right. Please state your name for the record, ma'am.
Kirsten Heron.
Thank you, Your Honor. As to the PCC, this is going to be a waiver, and I would also like to address bond when appropriate. Ms. Heron is signing her preliminary exam waiver form at this time.
Ma'am, it's correct. You want to waive your right to have a preliminary examination. You understand the preliminary examination is a proceeding where the people would have to show by probable cause that the offenses alleged were committed and that you committed them.
Yes.
And you understand you'll not have that hearing. You'll proceed to circuit court for further resolution.
Yes.
People also waive their right. Preliminary examination having been waived, defendant is bound over to circuit court on counts 1 through 4 with 5 following.
Thank you, Your Honor. We acknowledge receipt of the information, waive any further reading, and ask that my client stand mute.
Defendant having waived former reading standing mute. Court will enter a not guilty plea. Pre-trial will be set for
June 3rd at 1:30 before Judge Slay Monday.
June 3rd, 2024, 1:30 Slay Monday. As to bond, briefly.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Your Honor is aware, Ms. Heron was last in front of you last week for probable cause conference, at which time she was remanded for her bond violation. The underlying bond violation was that she had picked up a new charge out of Ohio. She has served 7 days on that bond violation, and we are respectfully requesting that you consider releasing her again today on the previous bond with the previously imposed bond conditions, including the GPS track and tether. Prior to this bond violation that
But the violation that you picked up in Ohio was the same type of behavior that we have here, which was assaulted.
it is correct that it's a similar charge, yes. Outside of that bond violation, she has otherwise been compliant on bond standing. Ms. Heron presents as a 20-year-old woman with no prior adult convictions. She lives in Toledo with her mother. She was prior on that GPS track and tether with no bond violations outside of the new charge. She has a strong support system, including her mother and sister, who I've also been in contact with, and I believe they're in attendance here today. They were in attendance at her last court hearing, as well as her 3-year-old niece. Ms. Heron regularly cares for her 2 nieces, ages 3 and 5, has their support, as well as her sister and her mother. She did hold down a job at Nordstrom for about 6 months and recently has been looking to break back into the retail world and is job seeking. Outside of the Ohio arrest, she has no other bond violations. And as for the Ohio arrest, she was released from Ohio custody on Monday, May 6th. While she was in Ohio custody, they, of course, cut off her GPS tracking tether that she had to Warren County. That next day, Ms. Heron contacted the public defender's office, and they advised her to drive up from Toledo immediately to go to community corrections to get her replaced, which is what she did. She returned back on Wednesday, May 8th, and got her GPS tether off installed again and appeared again in person for her probable cause conference on the 9th. Ms. Heron takes this case extremely seriously. She takes her obligations to the court very seriously, and she's asking that the court, for the prior bond violation, sentence her to 7 days, credit 7 served, and release her today, reinstate her bond back on a GPS tracking tether.
Any response from the people?
Our concerns, I assume are echoed by the court. The underlying facts of this case are basically an assault neighbor dispute situation in Pittsfield. And as I relayed when this was up a week ago, there are comments in the Pittsfield Township Police report about prior contacts with this defendant and her aggressiveness towards the police. Given her age and the fact that this again happened while she was out on bond, I just have concerns whether we're dealing with a mental health situation, behavioral issue situation. I don't necessarily think that the defendant needs to remain in custody, but my concern is what plan is in place when she's out of custody. Obviously, she was on a tether and that didn't stop her from reoffending.
Well, it didn't stop her from reoffending, and my understanding is it was another, she came into contact with police officers and you got the same scenario here. You got additional assaultive behavior.
And they remain pending charges and allegation at this time, Your Honor, but the allegations are similar. I do acknowledge that. But I also, Ms. Heron does take this very seriously and has been very active in participating in her defense. And we ask that she be allowed to be out of custody on her previous PR bond in order to continue dealing with these
You
allegations.
can bring that up with Judge Slay. Motion for bond reduction denied. Bond will continue. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Court calls the case People versus Deshaun Keith. Counsel, state your appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Matt Nagel for the people.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Pate for Mr. Lee, who stands to my right. Please state your name for the record, sir.
Deshaun Lee.
All right, what are we doing?
Your Honor, there has been an offer made in this matter by the people. We are respectfully requesting a 2-week adjournment so that Mr. Lee can consider the adjournment, or consider the offer, rather.
That is accurate, Your Honor.
All right, May 30th, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond continued.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
Thank you. You do the same. Court calls case People versus Sean Jenkins.
Bernstein West on behalf of Mr. Jenkins, Your Honor. Can you please state your name?
Sean Jenkins.
Your Honor, asking for an adjournment for discovery purposes.
On both cases,
Yes, Your Honor.
probable cause conference, May 30th, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond continued.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court calls case People versus Noah Blake.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Morgan Barossa on behalf of the people.
Public Defender Jay Bellinger, Your Honor. Good morning. Apologies for my tardiness this morning. It won't happen again.
Oh, sure it will. Go ahead. What are we doing?
Thank you, Your Honor. Regarding Mr. Blake, I was awaiting an office response with regard to conflict this morning, Your Honor.
With regard to what?
Conflict potential this morning. I don't know that I have an answer to that immediately. I was going to ask for an adjournment regardless, though, so we can see about negotiations.
Who are you waiting for an answer from?
We are support staff. I sent an email last night to them. I just haven't.
Get it resolved so his case can get moving forward.
Certainly.
Probable cause conference will be adjourned to, got 1 week,
Thank you.
May 23rd, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond continued. Court calls the case People versus Bruce Jones.
Prosecuting Attorney Morgan Barossa on behalf of the people.
Assistant Public Defender Otatella on behalf of Mr. Jones this morning, Your Honor, who stands to my right.
What are we doing?
Your Honor, I do believe that there is a bond violation that needs to be addressed, as well as I need to address the defendant's phone privileges.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding. Go ahead, Ms. Barossa.
Your Honor, are you in receipt of
I have the police report. But yes, go ahead.
I am extremely concerned as to the tamper from May 12th with the defendant's tether. But I am also concerned because that is exacerbated by the fact that after the defendant was taken back into custody, he called the victim no less than 8 times to her direct number from his own PIN. I have not had an opportunity to listen to those calls. I did make Mr. Ovatella aware of those calls, and I have made a request that those calls be released to him so that he could hear them. I did receive a note from Ms. Zenda that she had an opportunity to listen to some of those calls. And it is a lot of conversation about the tether, not charging it, not understanding what's going on, and the victim asking why this was happening and why he did this to her. At this point, he was taken into custody after an arraignment, after a bond violation, after he was well aware of the no contact and continued to contact. And I think at this point, his bond currently being set at 5,000 with a 10% privilege is grossly inappropriate.
Well, that's not where it is right now. It's been denied, but yeah, but go ahead, anything you want to say? But let me just make sure the phone calls occurred after he was brought in for the bond violation. There were more phone calls.
From May 12th at 8:24, May
Got it.
12th at 13:50, May 12th at 13:59, May 12th at 18:45, May 12th at 18:54, May 13th at 15:15, May 14th at 18:17, and May 14th at 19:58. I did not check again after probably about 2 p.m. yesterday, so there could have been more, but as of yesterday at about 2 p.m., that was the last tally that I had.
It does sound impressive, Your Honor, but I have not heard the phone calls or anything of that nature. And until I do, I'm not able to address them at this time. So I would ask for an adjournment on that until we can, until I can hear them and we can address that.
This is his probable cause also today. Emily,
Yes,
this is his probable cause and bond violation.
correct.
Well, during the bond violation as well as the probable cause, May 23rd, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond at this time, given everything that I've seen, this bond is revoked.
Can we revoke his phone privileges as well?
I would state that's premature, Judge, because I haven't heard anything yet, but it's.
Really? I know it's up to me, but why would that be premature if they're to the victim's number? Regardless of the contact, regardless of the contact.
I'll leave it to the court, Your Honor. I'm just advocating for the client.
Defendant phone privileges are revoked pending the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
Court calls case People versus Casey Boyd.
Andrew Childers appearing on behalf of the people.
We're ready in that matter, Your Honor. Warren Brown, Deputy Chief Public Defender, appearing on behalf. Wait.
By yourself. But you're here.
I'm
Casey Boyd. No response. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond is set in the amount of 10,000 cash surety. That warrant will issue immediately. Court recalls case People versus Jacob Dillian.
We're ready in this matter, Your Honor. Ron Brown, Deputy Chief Public Defender, appearing with. Mr. Dillon, state your name for the record.
Jacob Jacoby Dillon.
And at this time, we're set for a probable cause conference. We're going to respectfully request this matter be adjourned.
Probable cause conference, May 30th, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond continued. So both of them.
All right. And 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Somebody will.
Court calls the case People versus Larry Chamberlain.